look at the big air. Oh, that's Josh running wide. Look how close they are. And away they go. The two Subarus get away fairly evenly. Kieran tries to go in wide. Oh, Tom's hit Kieran. But Josh goes back on the inside. Gary goes wide. Mike goes up the inside of Gary. Oh, there's a bit of a tap there. Oh, there's Craig has pushed Sam into the wall. Josh Hardy wins his second ever win and the second win of the day. Chris doing more rallycross in the BMW than actual touring car racing, and it's the first win for Mark Nicol in the Renault Megane. Joe's definitely going to get it. A fantastic win for Heafy on his debut event, his first ever win in the Nissan GTR, unless Kieran can make a last minute dive. And he does, and Mark Nicol is 6th, which means he's the independent champion for season 2. Craig Keller in the Nissan GTR is going to be a win for Craig. Craig Keller is going to take the win in this race. Craig Keller is your season 2 FWTC champion. Here is your grid then for race 2 at Lago Maggiore. Pole position is Josh Hardy in his Renault Megane after the win in race 1. Next to him is Darren Parker in his DC Motorsports BMW M4. In row 2 we've got Stephen Heath in the first of the Hyundai Genesis of HB Motorsports, next to Alan Stretton in his Subaru WRX. Row 3 is the first of the K-Tech Racing Ford Mustangs of Tom Foster, and next to him is Luke Knox in his BMW M4. Row 4 we've got the Ford Mustang of Ben Gale, and we've got Mark Nicol in the first of the K&N Racing Nissan GTRs. Row 5 is Rob Pellet in his Elite Racing Nissan GTR, next to Harry Cook in the second of the DC Motorsports BMW M4s. Row 6 we've got Gary Black in his Renault Megane, next to the second of the Elite Racing Nissan GTRs of Craig Kellett. Row 7 is Connor Hewlett in his Subaru WRX, next to Kieran Thomas in the second of the K-Tech Racing Ford Mustangs, and at the back row of the grid is Mike Kuipers in the K&N Racing Nissan GTR, and of course Joe Burrows after he disconnected in race 1. Okay, race 2. Josh Hardy on pole next to Darren Parker. Can Josh make it 2 out of 2 for the races here? And away they go. That's a good start for Josh, but an even better start for Alan Stretton in the Subaru WRX. And in actual fact, Alan gets a good inside overtake on Josh, but is on the outside for the next corner, and Josh keeps that lead ahead of Alan and Stephen in second and third there. Further down, Mark is 4th, Tom is 5th, with Luke behind, and the two DC Motorsports BMWs together in 7th and 8th on board with Darren. So Darren's got a little bit of work to do after dropping down from the grid. So Rob is under attack from Harry, and Harry gets past. The two Elite Racing Nissans are together again. Further down, Kieran is just behind Gary. Connor is here with Joe Burrows. And then of course Ben Gale and Mike are at the back. Let's go on board with Mike. He's on the inside and the outside of Connor. He gets the place. That's 15th position as they go down into that fantastic corner. There's Ben. Oh, he's got his hit Kieran, and there's contact between Mike and Ben. So the two come together, and that's Ben facing the wrong way, and Mike has stopped, as you can see. So that allowed Ben to go ahead of Mike. So it's the right thing to do from Mike, but it was a real shame, really. You can have another look at the replay, find out what happens. Board with Ben Gale then, and here he's behind one of the Hyundais, and as he goes around this tight corner, contact with the Mustang, and then yeah, Mike just catches him on the back end. On board with Mike, and as you can see ahead, Ben is tussling with Joe Burrows, and actually Mike is quite a bit far behind Ben here. Then there's the contact with Kieran, and then I think it's where Ben slowed down. Mike unfortunately, inevitably hits Ben. So Josh Hardy is leading again by a comfortable distance. A repeat process in race 2 here, but Alan is going to put the pressure on him in second position, and I have to say, for his debut, this is really impressive from Alan in that Subaru. The Subaru was handed down to him from Stephen Heath, the ex-Season 2 Subaru. So Heathy's on the back end of Mark here. This is good for Mark, who needs some decent points. He's had a mixed bag of results so far after leading the series after Monza. And behind them we've got Tom and Darren together. So as they come through to the big drop down into that awesome corner, is Darren going to make a move on Tom? He has a look but decides not to. But that's Luke Knox, and Luke has just made another mistake again, and he did that in race 1 towards the end, so that's a shame for Luke. Go on board to Kieran, and he's got Rob Pellet just ahead of him, and ahead of them is Joe. Oh, a little bit of contact. Look how close Rob is getting to Joe here. So further up we've got Tom now behind Darren. Darren has made his move, and Mark isn't too far ahead of Darren, and then we've got Heathy in the close quarters of the background. Darren's made a fantastic move on Mark, and Mark has pushed by Tom. A little bit of contact there. Stephen is on his way to try and catch up with Alan, and Alan is on his way to catch up with Josh, and as you can see, Alan is not too far behind him. And there's a little mistake there by Josh, hits the grass. Tom and Mark are together here, look. Cars just for a split second they lift off the grounds and get some slight air as they go over that brow of the hill. Tom and Mark are side by side. Mark's got the position back again, and behind them is Gary Black, who easily could catch up if they continue to fight. They will be slow as they tussle it out together. On to lap 3. Oh, contact, it seems like. And again, look how close Gary is to Mark and Tom. Mark on the grass as he's exiting the corner, but stays ahead of Tom. Tom makes the dive and he gets the move done. A little bit of contact there. Mark comes back on the circuit. Look how everyone runs wide on that corner. And because Tom and Mark are having a scrap here, it's allowed Gary to be on the back, and also Joe, and then everyone else also is catching up as well. Gary's got ahead of Joe, and now Looks like he could try it on the back of Tom. Joe goes back ahead of Gary, switching and changing all the time, and this has gone from a two-man battle to at least 6 or 7, and it's a three-way into that fantastic corner. Oh, there's contact there. There's Kieran, Tom and Mark, and Tom is punted down to 9th position, but the racing is panel and body bashing, but it's very, very clean racing. So Tom is unfortunately pushed down, and it's slowed him with his rhythm, and that's Craig going past, that's Rob going past, and Tom has gone up from 5th, 6th position down to 11th now, with even Luke behind him putting the pressure on. And you can see how competitive this season is. The minute you're out of your line and under threat, you can be pushed further down the grid order. Look at that corner from Luke. That was unbelievable. Slow out of the chicane, the hairpin. Let's get my words out. So Kieran on the back end of Gary. And Gary stays in 6th. So further up, Darren has caught up to Alan now. Again, Alan showing some real pace in that Subaru. And Stephen Heath isn't too far behind him either. So Josh is still leading this race. We're on lap 5 as we come round the last few corners. We'll be heading on to lap 6. This race has gone past so quick with all the action. Lago is proving to be very, very good for overtaking. And again, Darren really put the pressure on Alan, but Alan is defending very, very well. Stephen Heath waiting for the two to come together and use his racecraft to get past the two of them at the right moment. Oh, Stephen's taken a lunge and he's got him. So Stephen's got ahead of Darren. Darren went slightly wide on the hairpin of turn 2. So Darren now needs to deal with Stephen. Joe is still doing well in 5th. Kieran is in 6th. 7th for Mark. Craig, Rob, 8th, Tom and Luke and Connor. So we're going board with Connor. Oh, there's contact with Tom and Luke. It's getting a little bit chaotic here down in 10th onwards, and there's Connor. Connor gets on the grass, gets himself together and continues on, but down in 12th. Gary has dropped down. Gary's dropped down big time. So Gary was in 6th the last time we looked, so something's happened to Gary, which is a big shame. We can have a look and find out what happened to Gary to see how he dropped down the order. Let's have a look at Gary coming down the straight here to see what happened. He was just behind Kieran. Looks like he's run slightly wide. Oh, he's caught the grass and spun himself out. On board with Gary. Yeah, just there, look. It's a real shame. So Joe has made some headway up behind Heathy, and Heathy is behind Darren. And that's Alan going slightly wide. And these three still fighting here. And we'll make this tail end of the race exciting. Josh Hardy is still leading. He's got a fair bit of a gap, not as big as it was in race 1, so anything still could happen. So Joe 5th, Kieran 6th, Mark is 7th, Craig is 8th, and then looks like Harry Cook is under pressure from Ben Gale in the bright green Mustang. Obviously Ben dropped down after Mike went into him, and Mike is still struggling back the back of the grid in 16th. So Mike is now the next person to feel the wrath of the hard tyres. Darren Parker is on the inside and he's got past Alan Stratton, so Alan is now down to 3rd position, still on the podium, so it's still a very, very good achievement if he continues to succeed and keep the position, but Heathy isn't too far behind. Look at that dive from Alan. Wow, really, really fast in but slow out, so naturally Darren gets the undercut. So Joe's comfortably in 5th still, Kieran in 6th, Mark in 7th, and then the 2 Elliott Racing cars are together. Rob is ahead of Craig, and Rob is behind Tom here in 8th. Rob running very wide. And Connor on the back of Noxie, and that's Rob running wide again. There's a few of them nearly hitting the grass there, and if you catch it wrong, he'll end up spinning out. Craig on the inside of Rob. Rob's now on the inside of Craig. So now Alan, unfortunately, has lost that podium position to Stephen Heath. Heathy is doing really well to keep this Hyundai up at the top end of the grids and proving to be really quick in it now. And Stephen was noted to say that he was really surprised at the pace of the Hyundai after the first round at Monza. He's going to keep plugging away to get that first win. So Alan stays behind Heathy. Joe is in 5th, so this will be good again for HB Motorsports. Going to be a good collective bag of points if they continue as they are. Mark Nichol is behind Tom now, so sorry, behind Kieran and ahead of Tom. Tom's still ahead of Rob. Craig in 10th ahead of Luke. Connor is 12th. Gary is 13th. Harry down to 14th, unfortunately. So Harry not having a great race again. Harry runs wide, and that is Ben who has taken the advantage on the inside. The 2 bright green cars go really well together. And there's Mike, sorry. So Darren is leading this race now. So something's happened to Josh. Josh has made a mistake. Darren Parker is leading this race. Let's go on board with Alan again. We can find out what happened to Josh, see where he made the mistake. Let's have a look at the replay and find out where Josh lost the lead to Darren, because he was a fair bit in the lead as well. Let's find out what happened with Josh then, where he lost. So he's caught the grass as well, spins off into the grass. Luckily not to hit the barrier, but he's having to spin round to face the right way. On board with Josh. Yeah, it's just the tiniest touch. This race is settled down, and the racing seems to be quite conservative at the moment. But Rob has got a fantastic exit out of the banked corner, putting the pressure on Tom. Oh, he's gone on the inside. He's not quite got it. And he's on the inside again. A little bit of a push. Rob might have Tom. He's on the inside of the right point of this corner, but they're side by side. Look at this. Side by side as they come down to the start-finish straight, and they are still side by side, and they're going to go into the corner next to each other. Oh, there's Luke again, getting sideways. That was great racing from Tom and Rob. Harry and Ben still having a scrap here for 14th and 15th. There's literally a point in it, but it's fantastic to see the two really passionate for that 1 point. So Heathy's now leading this race. So it's all going on at the front of this grid, which unfortunately we've missed, but it's now turned into a four-way scrap for this race lead. Really interesting. There's Josh. There's contact on Heathy. There's a bit of a push on the side. So Josh takes the lead back again. On board with Alan. Oh, Heathy's gone past Josh. Oh, contact. Alan pushes Josh, and so they still come out of the corner together. So this four-way tussle is going to go right down to the wire for this last lap. Alan on the inside of Josh. Darren behind Alan. They're going to go three-way into the next corner, maybe. No, Josh is nearly pushed back to fourth. Oh, a little bit of lag. Alan in second now. Josh and Darren really scrapping it out. Look how wide everyone goes. Josh goes ahead of Alan, so it's developing still Alan and Josh now. Oh, contact, a little bit of pushing. Yeah, there was a bit of a push there. from Josh on Alan. So Josh really getting his arms out, elbows out, but we're on to the last corner now, and Stephen is comfortably leading and has won the race 2 here at Lago Maggiore. Darren takes second, Josh takes third, Alan takes a really good strong fourth. 5th was Joe, 6th was Kieran, 7th is Mark, 8th is Rob, 9th is Tom, 10th is Gary, 11th is Craig, 12th is Connor, Harry 13th ahead of Luke, and then of course Ben Gale takes 15th. That was a good race to watch those two with Harry and Ben, and then Mike really struggled on those hard tyres, takes at the back of the grid. Stephen wins his first race of the season and the debut win for the Hyundai at Genesis, ahead of Darren in second, Josh was third, Alan was fourth, Joe was fifth with Kieran and Mark 6th and 7th, Rob in 8th, Tom in 9th, Gary in 10th, Craig in 11th, Connor 12th, Harry 13th, Luke was 14th, Ben was 15th and Mike was at the back of the grid. What this means for the overall title then, Mike doesn't actually score any points for finishing in last, so he actually ends up in second as Stephen Heath overtakes him 1 point ahead and leading the title now. In third still is Craig with 86, just 1 point ahead of Robin fourth. Darren jumps up to fifth, Mark is in sixth, and of course Josh stays in seventh with 75. Gary's in eighth, and in ninth is Tom, and Joe is in 10th, and the rest follow on from there. In the team's title then, Elliott Racing still leading by 5 points now to KNN Racing in second. In third is HB Motorsports 179, so they are 6 points ahead of DC, and K-Tech are still a little bit behind with 160 in fifth. In the independents, Gary is now 5 points ahead of Connor in second. Josh, look at that, has jumped up only 3 points behind Connor, so this is really making the independents very interesting. Tom Wright stays in fourth on 80 points, and the rest follow on behind with Joe in fifth, and Alan jumps up to sixth after his really good result in that race too.